Aloha.
Aloha.
I want to welcome all of you to a joint meeting of Japan Pancreas Society and American Pancreatic Association.
This year's joint meeting was opened by the Hirshberg Foundation Keynote Symposium, focusing on immunotherapy and familial pancreatic cancer. Dr. Jaffee from Hopkins spoke about immunotherapy.
In our field, we say cancer immunotherapy has finally come of age. And so for one, the FDA has approved the first vaccine for prostate cancer. The FDA also approved the first checkpoint inhibitor, ipilimumab. Now, these are signals on T cells that are down-regulated, so inhibit the T cell once they get to the tumor microenvironment. So an antibody to this is able to activate the T cell. And so the main goal of this type of immunotherapy is to raise an army of T cells to attack the tumor. Many cancers do not naturally induce the T cells. Vaccines turn out to be the best igniters or inducers of T cells. But once they get in, what happens is they get in and they're halted just like in melanoma. So you still need immune modulating agents to unleash the full potential of these ignited T cells.
And the next speaker is Teresa Brentnall. She's a professor at the University of Washington, Seattle. Her scientific career has been focused on determining the molecular events and the early detection and surveillance of pancreatic cancer.
Pancreatic cancer usually forms by the precancerous lesions or in the small side branches. You have to think about modalities that can pick up tiny lesions in the side branches of the pancreatic duct. But this is where you're curable when you get down the size of a piece of rice. So you're talking a couple of millimeters in size. That's the money shot. So when you get pancreatic cancer, and even when you have these early neoplastic lesions, you have neoangiogenesis. So you get these new blood vessels. So what you can do is you can create these microbubbles. I want you to think of them as champagne bubbles. And basically, you hook on something that will bind onto the proteins in the lining of the neoangiogenesis area, the blood vessels, and then they home in and bind. So we made the microbubbles and we injected them into KPC mice, and look, lights it up like a Christmas tree. We can detect cancers that are as small as 1 millimeter.
Before I speak, I'd like you to meet a friend of ours.
My name is Phil Kent. In December of 2012, I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. I really needed to speak to someone who had pancreatic cancer, who had been through the treatment, so I could understand what to expect. My close friend Kevin Powells suggested I attend the Hirshberg Symposium for Pancreatic Cancer at UCLA. I met people there who, very long-term survivors, 10, 12, 14 years since diagnosis, and at that point I just got tremendously encouraged. I had hope, a renewed hope.
I think it's important for us to see the patients. Many of us here are researchers only and not clinicians, and see who you're working for. They have to have hope. You are the hope.